Hello, welcome to SDCIA. My name is Julie Crittenden and I'm with Top Dog Inspections. Today we're going to talk about mold inspections. I've been doing mold inspections for, 16 years now. Way too long if you ask me. But where mold inspections become really important are for people that are buying homes or selling their homes. I also do a little bit of commercial real estate. So what happens is a prospective home buyer would go in and take a look around, put a contract on a house, and then as they're doing their inspections, they may or may not want a mold inspection. Sometimes they ask me to come in when they're having their home inspection. Other times they wait until after their home inspection to see if maybe the home inspection turned up something. So also, people are more concerned about mold when they have allergies. People with bad allergies are a little bit more worried about things like that. So anyways, I'll get a call for mold, and what I do is I normally go in and I will look for signs of water intrusion, water leaks, things of that nature. I am going to go under all the places, under sinks, where there's actually water, and then also I'm going to be looking for areas where windows may have leaked. And I bring with me a moisture meter. I have a digital one that goes flat against the wall and will read for potential water levels. And then I have one to kind of double check it. It's a two-pronged one that actually makes little holes in the wall. But you really can't see them, and that will test the moisture in the wall as well. So it's kind of a backup one. The homes that tend to have mold problems, surprisingly, are the homes that are newer homes as opposed to older ones. I get a lot of calls where homes that are built in the 20s and 30s, where people are concerned that there's mold, but those homes actually are less likely to have mold than newer homes. And the reason for that is because the older homes tend to be made out of plaster as opposed to the newer homes that have drywall. Older homes also don't tend to have insulation in them, so there's air that can pass through the home from the exterior of the home to the interior of the home, and that really, airflow is the best thing you can have to not have mold. So the newer homes that are built with drywall and insulation, those homes are real airtight and they can't breathe as well. So even if you get a little bit of sweating from the pipes or a tiny leak, what happens is the insulation traps the moisture against the back of the drywall, and the drywall is a paper backing, and that is an ideal food source for mold growth. And so you have the potential for that growth. So anyways, we go in and we'll do a inspection looking for signs of water leaks, water intrusion, and depending on what we find, we may or may not suggest testing at that time. And there's different types of testing that you can do. If you don't see anything visible, there's no mold at all, no discoloration, then we would most likely suggest air sampling. And what air sampling does is it gives you a picture of what's in the room, because you're always going to have mold in your house. The only places that really don't have mold are like a heart transplant room in a hospital. So you're always going to have mold in your home. What you are looking for is to see if the inside levels are comparable with the outside levels. So when there is no visible mold present and you are taking a inside sample, you also have to take an outside sample so that you can compare the two levels. And what you're ideally looking for is for the inside levels to be similar in both the numbers and the types of mold that are present. Because again, you're always going to have mold present in a home. I often get questions about people wondering those little Petri dishes that they sell at Home Depot. You know, how are those for testing for mold? Again, goes back to you're always going to have mold in your home, so those Petri dishes are kind of a waste of your money. The reason being is there's no control. You're going to set it inside, and of course it's going to grow mold. Again, there's always mold in your house. You have to be able to compare it to the outside, and putting a petri dish one inside and one outside is just not going to work for giving you an accurate example of what's going on. So that's kind of how air sampling works. You take it one inside, one outside. You're drawing air in on this machine at 15 liters a minute for 5 minutes. And you do, again, both inside and outside. And then I take it to the lab, and they'll break open the canister and actually count the spores that are in there and the types and the numbers and give you the comparison. So that's air sampling. When there is actually something present that's a little bit more obvious, and there's two types of samples you can take there. You can take a swab sample, or a surface sample is probably a better way of saying it, because a surface sample can be a swab sample, a tape sample, something like of that nature, and those are two different processes of how that works. And then you can also get a bulk sample, where you can physically cut out a piece of it. I try not to do that because I don't want to do any invasive testing, so I tend to stick more to the swab samples and the tape samples. And what you're literally doing is getting a physical sample of the potential mold, the discoloration that you're seeing, and taking that to the lab. And again, they will analyze it. They're not going to count the number of spores and something like that. What they're really going to do is tell you what kind of mold it is. They look at the characteristics of it and break it down to tell you what kind of mold there is. So that's kind of how all of that works. And when I'm doing sampling, most of the sampling is confined to 1 to 2 areas, because just because you may have a leak in one area, it's not going to affect something on the opposite side of the house. So that's mold sampling in a nutshell. Once we get the results back, I'll put together a written report of what I have seen, and then I'll combine that with the lab results and send that off to you for your analysis for your potential buyer. Sometimes sellers will take a preemptive measure and actually do the mold inspection before they put their house on the market, just so that there are no surprises. So if you're interested in a mold inspection, feel free to call us at 619-741-4890.